Saga from Georgia. Chapter 5. The Demand of the Water of Life's Goblet. Arriving at the castle, the news was soon transmitted to the king, who became very happy when knowing that his favorite, besides returning safe and sound from a so dangerous mission, brought with him the heart and blood of the terrible animal. The comments about the hero treasurer's achievements spread rapidly throughout the kingdom, and, from every corner of the country, came congratulations to the king for having a so important man as a server. The maidens of the whole kingdom rushed to throw to the young treasurer a look of admiration, thinking that it would be a great happiness to be able to become the wife of a hero like that. But, for the queen, the meaning of all this was just a great disappointment. For, besides the fact that the young man did not have the end that she expected, there was still the fact that neither the heart nor the blood of the terrible animal were able to produce any effect in her sterility, and she still couldn't have a child. She then started thinking of another plan, able to finally lead him to annihilation. And it was with that thought that she went again to the king. She was now asking him to send his fearless server to the petrified kingdom, in demand of the water of life's goblet. But the request was immediately rejected by the king. She then sent him a sorcerer with the argument that, if her wish was satisfied, she would gift him with an heir. Facing this argument, the king eventually gave in, but it was with sadness and tears in his eyes that he communicated to the young man his decision. But it was also with humility and respect that the young man heard from the king that new request. But this time, he was about to say to the king that, in fact, the queen didn't need any water of life. For, what was leading her to do all this was nothing but an uncontrollable hatred, resulting from unrequited love, but he felt compassion for the good king, and did not want to bring him a revelation that evidently would cause him a great chagrin. So, choose everything you need for your trip, said the king. The treasury will be at your disposal. But, when the young man was gone, the king kept thinking, poor boy, I will never see him again, for, like many others who have already tried to accomplish this feat, he will also be petrified. So, the brave girl went to the stable, clung again to the neck of her confidant horse and, without hiding her sadness, told him everything that was going on. And the horse, as a good counselor, told her, do not cry, for we have already performed together many other difficult tasks. You just have to go to the king and ask him to gird your waist with his golden belt. Surprised, the young girl just exclaimed, but how, my friend, would I dare put on myself the king's golden belt? But the horse just told her, in an enigmatic tone, who knows if one day you will not become a king. She then had no other way out but to go to the king with that irreverent request, that he should gird her with his golden belt. But the benevolent king did not deny her the request, and then, soon after, she got on her horse and took the road. How long they had to travel, it is not known, but, after much had been galloped, finally reaching the capital of the petrified kingdom, the horse said, see, we have just arrived. Now, get off me and listen to what I have to tell you, recording it well in your memory. You must enter the city directly. In there, you will find a building in which entrance there is a door that, by itself, opens and closes at regular intervals. Wait then for the moment it opens and enter. Inside the building, you will find a long staircase, through where you should go to the internal halls. In one of the halls, you will see the king of the petrified kingdom, turned into stone only in half, resting in a golden armchair. Beside him, there is an equally golden goblet, full to the brim with the water of life. More than that I will not say, because, from what you find there, you will know yourself how to act. The young woman then entered the petrified city and walked inside. Everything she saw was dead. And everywhere reigned the silence. Human beings, animals, trees, everything was hardened and immobilized. After much walking through the interior of that dead city, she came across a building in which entrance there was a door that, as the horse had told her, opened and closed at certain intervals. She then waited for the moment when the door opened and, courageously entered the building. She was now right in front of the said staircase. She then took it and quickly got to one of the internal halls. There was, right in the middle of the hall, the king of the petrified kingdom, half a man and half a stone, resting in said golden armchair. At his side, not too close, was the mentioned water of life's goblet, toward which he extended his arm trying to grab it, but without success. So the poor king, when realized that that living creature had entered the building and was now there before him, shouted in horror, "Watch out, boy! What have you come to do in this realm of death? Don't you know that here reigns the spirit of evil?" "I am not afraid of evil spirit," answered the girl. "I can see that," said the king. "But it's like a fool that you're not afraid of him, who by punishment for daring like this, has turned many people into stone. Are you more powerful than them?" But, in response to these exclamations, she just repeated what she had already said, that she was not afraid of evil spirit. Suddenly, the half-petrified king, predicting the imminence of something really catastrophic, shouted to his visitor extremely terrified, "Hide quickly, for I feel that the evil spirit is already approaching. Behind my armchair. There's a hiding place." But the young woman didn't even get out of her place, just said boldly, "First of all, Lord King, you will have to tell me the whole truth, explaining to me why your majesty and all your kingdom were led to receive such a terrible punishment." The king then answered, "Well, boy, I see that you are really not afraid of anything. Listen then to what I have to say. Many years ago, I was also a handsome young man like you. I fell in love with a princess of incomparable beauty and, to marry her and, thereby, become king, I sold my soul to an evil spirit. For many years, we enjoyed happiness without disturbance. My kingdom was developing, my riches increased, the population expanded and the people glorified me. But the vulnerable time has come and, with it, the end of my happiness. The spirit of evil began to demand what was owed to him. However, as I was always a very godly man, he could not have over me the total dominion, and so turned me to stone only halfway. But in return, he shed his hatred not only upon me and my vassals, but also upon all that was alive in my kingdom, turning them into stones. Since then, remaining in this situation, I didn't even have one day of tranquility. For, every day, he visits me just to torment me. I know that right now he is hiding behind that door." The girl had barely come into her hiding place, the monster was already entering the room. It was a colossal and horrifying serpent of fire that had been hissing and letting out from inside a huge mouth long flames and an immense stink. Then the unfortunate king, seeing that the horrendous snake had already armed her attack, exclaimed even more terrified, "No, don't hurt me." But, in the blink of an eye, the snake was already curling around the neck of the poor king, and was about to hang him with his rings of fire. Suddenly, instead of continuing with its screwing, it turned into a big and amazing bird. Then, the amazing bird, landing on the king's back, stuck him in the body with acuminated nails and dug his head with a hard and pointed beak. In his torment, the king asked for leniency, but the wicked bird didn't even care, just continued with his excavation. No longer enduring such cruelty, the brave girl got out of her hiding place and with a single and accurate sword strike, plucked the evil bird from the king's head. She was already preparing for the final and decisive blow, when the king shouted, "Please, don't kill it. Firstly, we have to save all of us." But, at that moment, the bird turned again into a serpent of fire and curled around the girl's waist. In just a second, she would already be stretched across the floor. But, at a glance, she remembered the ring that the Dragon King's daughter had given her as a gift. Then, pulling it off the finger, she still succeeded in a last moment open its container and let drop on the animal's back the deadly poison. The poisonous liquid had barely touched the snake's body, and it was already shuddering on the floor. But, in its last breath, it could still cast this curse, if you are a man, morph into a woman. And if you are a woman, morph into a man. It was then understood that, despite the rapid action of the poison, the snake was still alive. Because, as time went by, the poisonous substance must have lost, at least in part, its original power. But given that at that moment, thanks to this devilish curse, she had already really turned from woman to man, taking advantage of his new strength, he raised the sword and prepared for the final strike. But, even dying, the animal could still raise its voice, begging for mercy and, in return, promising the young man to satisfy all his wishes. The young man then answered, "Well, I can forgive you, but only with one condition, which is to make that the poor king recovers himself completely, and his kingdom to be as it was before. Otherwise, your head will immediately roll across the floor." By saying that, he prepared himself again to, this time, really descend the sword against the serpent's neck, which, however, hurried to shout, "Don't do it! The cup you see over there is full of the water of life. Take it and, everything you spray with it, will come back to life immediately, and will take its natural form as it was before." However, the serpent had just barely said that, and the sword already descended upon its neck, separating the head from the body. After that, the young man took the cup with the water of life, and then, sprinkled the king's petrified feet. In an instant, what in him was petrified became unpetrified, and he immediately turned to normal, with his strengths already fully recovered. So, the king, shedding tears, knelt before the young man and thanked him. Then, to show him how much he was really grateful, he said, "Stay in my kingdom and receive from me the royal dignity. I am already an old man, and it will be a great comfort for me, at the end of my existence, to be at your side as your most faithful friend." The young man became very grateful, but didn't want to receive the insignia. Then, taking the water of life goblet in hand, the two men went out into the kingdom, spraying all the inhabitants and the things there. They first walked through the inner city, and went from street to street urging everyone to come back to life. Quickly, the inhabitants began to move, some of them resuming hastily their chores. Others walking around or gathering in the squares to discuss their affairs. The stiffened streets of the petrified city were then gradually filling with sounds and voices, with movement and life. The animals, going out in search of what to eat and drink, filled the air with their distinctive ways to express themselves. The breeze slightly swayed the tree leaves. The crystalline streams let hear its melodious murmurs. Life, well-being and happiness were now everywhere. So, seeing that everything had already gone back to normality, the young man said goodbye to the king, and getting on his horse, galloped back to his true lord, with the water of life goblet in his hands. End of chapter 5.